everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome back to another session of our Supreme Self Development and Self Awareness program. I am so happy to be with you again this Tuesday. Would you believe that we are our 8 weeks program? Yep. Would you believe it? I can't. I think the time is going so quickly. But I've been enjoying being with you on our anger management journey. And just in case you're joining us for the first time, I am Lydia, and on Tuesdays we discuss everything about anger management because our aim is that at the end of these 8 weeks, you will become so great at managing and expressing your anger in helpful ways because our aim is to make sure that we make the best choices even when we experience intense emotions like anger. I really want to welcome all of you who are joining us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and an extra special welcome to those of you joining us on Zoom. I really love to know that you are there on Zoom with us. And don't forget, if you have any questions at all, please send them in and I will answer those questions for you during our program in the coming weeks. I hope by now you have your pens, your pencils, your paper, or if you're using a device so that you can be engaged in our activities. I'm ready. Are you ready to get going for this week? I hope so. Let's go. Now, by now, you should know that I love to check in with you first thing before we get into discussing anything about anger management. So, our check-in activity for this week should be coming up on the screen quite soon. We've been talking about emotions, and we've been talking about those 8 main emotions. And we've learned many other words to describe our emotions. But this week, what I'd like you to do is that I would like you to take a look at the chart that's coming up on the screen quite soon. Each color represents some feelings. For example, green says, I'm feeling happy and I'm ready to learn. Yellow says, I'm feeling a little bit frustrated, probably a little silly, or a little out of it. And red says, you know what, I'm feeling angry and I'm upset right now. So I want you to take a look at this chart and I want you to think about how you're feeling. And what I want you to do is tell me the color that represents the feeling. Now I have Tyreek with me in Zoom. Tyreek, can you tell me which color represents how you are feeling? I'm going to think too. And those of you on Facebook, you can note your colors in our comment section as well. You can take some time to think.
Happy.
Can you tell me how you are feeling? You're feeling happy. What color goes with that? Which color goes with feeling happy? On the chart on the screen, it says the green. Oh, you're not seeing it well. Okay, well, I'll tell you. The green zone says I am feeling happy. So it seems like both of us were feeling happy together. Can you see it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so I'm glad that you are feeling happy. And I hope those of you who are joining us on Facebook that you're also posting how you're feeling because I'm going to check. I love to see your responses. So let's keep going. Now, in an exploration, and we've been exploring anger management, we have to take certain steps. And so far, we have taken probably about 2 or 3 steps. And in our first step, we looked at emotions. I hope you remember. And in that step, we learned that we have 8 basic emotions. I hope you can remember them. They were happy, sad, sadness, sometimes guilt and shame as well. But we also learned that we have these emotions because they give us information and they help us to understand ourselves and other people, and it helps us to make decisions. So, those two main points were the things that I want you to remember as we continue on our journey. Then the next week, we took another step and we went on to step two. We also answered some additional important questions there, like what really is anger? You know, we learned that anger was that normal emotion and we learned that it was very powerful. Tyreek, do you remember our anger scale? When we went from feeling angry, which may be a little bit frustrated, which may be down on the scale like 0 or 1, 2, 3. And then we went way up to the top of
Yes,
the
ma'am.
scale. Do you remember what was at the top of the scale? A word that we can use to probably describe if we're feeling very, very angry. Do you remember the words? Rage or feeling furious. Wonderful. And we continue to learn some other things as well as we explored anger. We answered a very, very, very important question. Why does anger actually occur? And we learned that it is a warning bell and it tells us about the present and the past. And it also helps us to be able to fight problems or to bring solutions to those problems. We ended that week where we answered the question, can anger really, really be controlled? Terry, what do you think? Can anger be controlled, that anger emotion? Can we control that anger?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful. You think that we can? I agree with you. We can control our anger, but one important thing is that we have to make sure that we have a plan. So to control our anger, we must have a plan. And so last week we started our step three. And our step three was that we were creating that plan. And our part A in creating our plan was that we had to make sure we began to identify our triggers because we learned that for us to manage our anger, we must know those situations that make us angry. So that's our very first step that we must know, that we must understand as we create our anger management plan. And last week we looked at what are triggers. Let's keep going. You'll see that come on the screen soon. What are anger triggers? And I used the example last week of tickles. The tickle is like the trigger for the response of laughter. So when somebody tickles you, your response is usually laughter, right? So the anger trigger is something that causes you to feel angry. So the trigger there would be the situation, could be situation, or it could be what people say, or it can also be the thoughts that we have. And last week we began a really in-depth exploration of some situations that may cause us to become angry. So let's review situations together. And we made some really key points last week when we looked at those situations that trigger us. We remember that everyone has something that makes them angry because we learned that everybody gets angry. So there's something that makes me angry and there's something that makes you angry as well. We also learned that everybody may be triggered by different things. So what may upset me may not upset you, and what may make you angry may not make me angry. And we had that story about Sean, Carl, and Marcus, where, Sean wasn't being nice at all. Marcus wasn't being nice at all. It made Sean upset, but Carl was able to respond to him, and he wasn't quite upset. So we must remember that what may make me angry may not make somebody else angry. And sometimes they become really angry because it's something that may have happened to them over and over and over. And so we may say they may be a little bit sensitive to that situation, and it may cause them to become angry, or the intensity of anger may be completely different than if it happened to us. So remember that what makes you angry may not make somebody else angry. We went on to explore that knowing our own triggers is the key to controlling our anger. So, making sure that we know those situations, we can identify those situations, and we went through lots of different situations last week. And I hope that you would have noted them down, because it's good to keep that information there with you. So, as you create your plan, you can actually see the plan that you have created. We also learned that some situations may make us a little bit angry, while others may make us very, very angry. And we explored our anger scale last week as well, where there were some activities, some situations that you may have given a 1 or 2, and there are others that made you really upset, and you probably would have noted them down as a probably 8 or 9. So let's keep going. I would like you to do this review activity with me. So take a look at what pushes your buttons. Look at some of those things there that can make some of us angry. I want everybody to tell me at least one of those things on the screen that make you angry. I know
Waiting.
there's some people. Waiting makes you angry. Yeah, some people, if they have to wait for a long time, it makes them upset. Anybody else? Renison, how about you? Do you get angry when you're hungry? When you're
Yes,
really
ma'am. I
hungry?
get
Do you,
angry.
you get angry when you're
Yes,
hungry?
ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
ma'am.
And sometimes you can lose something and you can't find it, and you're looking all over the place. That can also make us angry. That makes me angry as well sometimes. Now, I want you to do this activity. Now, let's keep going. I am going to show you some more anger buttons. Remember, we talked about anger buttons as well. And I want you to choose one of them that will make you feel just a little bit angry. One of them that may cause you to feel like 1 or 2 or 3. I want you to write that down. Okay? Everybody has that? Look at all of them listed here. And I want you to think of one of them that may make you just a little bit angry.
Will you stop now?
Wonderful. Now, I want you to think of another one that may make you feel probably about 5 or 6 in anger. Do you guys have those noted down?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. Now, I want you to keep going. I want you to keep looking at these on the screen, and I want you to note down one of them that may make you like 9 or 10 really, really angry. So look at these on the screen and note down one that will make you like 9 or 10. So by the time you're finished, you should have at least 3 of them. At least 3 of them. All right. So I want to hear from you now. And I'm going to show you something called an anger thermometer. And this is where I would like you to note down those 3 anger buttons that you would have noted. So you'll see that anger thermometer soon on the screen. All right. Now at the bottom, where it says frustrated, I want you to note down those things that may make you angry just a little bit, like 1 or 2. Can somebody tell me one of the things that they noted down that made them feel a little bit angry? Probably a 1 or 2 anger feeling. Renison, Tyreek, what may have made you angry just a little bit from that list? And of course, those of you joining us on
First one.
Facebook,
Waiting for somebody to get things. Yes, waiting.
okay, waiting. All right, wonderful. Now, can you tell me the one that may have made you like 5 or 6 angry on that scale? About 5 or 6, a little bit more.
I see
What was the next
two.
one that made you, pardon?
Determine.
The third one? Do you remember what the
Yes,
third one
ma'am.
was? What was that? What was the third one?
Nope. The
Okay, don't worry about that. Well, now I want you to tell me the one that makes you really, really, really angry. From that list, tell me the one that
waiting.
made you really, really, really angry. Also, waiting was
Wait.
at the bottom of somebody's list, and then waiting was at the top of somebody else's list. And there again, we see that, you know what? Different situations may cause us to feel different intensities of anger. Waiting for one person only made them feel a little bit frustrated, but for somebody else, it made them feel really, really furious. Okay, so let's keep going. Now, we also talked about, we started to talk about, and we'll continue to talk about it today. What are some of the things that people do or people say that make us angry? Because remember, we're looking at triggers. Situations can trigger us to be angry. And what people say or what people do can also make us angry or even make us even angrier. So let's see some of those things that we started to explore. For example, laughing. Now, if you were angry and somebody started to laugh at you, what would you do? How would you feel? If you are
Sad.
angry, you're upset, and somebody started to laugh, how would you feel?
Angry.
Somebody said sad. Would it cause you to feel more angry?
Yeah.
It could cause you
Yeah.
to feel more angry. Or how about if they tell you, you know what, there's nothing for you to get vexed about, or you shouldn't be angry about that. Those things, don't make us to feel nice. They don't make us feel like the person's care for us sometimes, or they're really recognizing that this situation is important, angrier sometimes. And I want you to note them down because don't forget, we are creating our anger management plan, how to manage anger. And this important step of knowing the situations that cause us to be angry and what people say that cause us to become angry helps us to be able to be prepared. So when they happen, we are ready and we'll use our strategies and we will use the best response possible. Now let's keep going. Let's look at thoughts. Yes, our thoughts can make us angry. Do you think so? What do you guys think? Do you think thoughts can make you angry? What you think about can cause you to become angry and angrier? What do you think, guys? Renison, Tyreek, do you think the thoughts that you think can cause you to feel angry? Well, they
Sometimes.
do. Sometimes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. How we react most of the time depends on what we think. So when we become angry, it's because of the thoughts sometimes that we have about this situation. And sometimes it's usually because, we didn't expect the situation to happen or we expected something different from that situation. And as a result, it may cause us to feel angry. So it's really helpful for us to explore the things that we think about so that we know what triggers our angry feelings. Now, thoughts we call self talk. The thoughts we have, we call them self talk because it's kind of like talking to yourself. I'm telling myself those things. Those things are popping into my head, and I'm having that conversation with myself. So, by understanding the thoughts that pop into my head, the things that I'm saying to myself, it can influence how I feel. So, guys, our thoughts can either help us to become calm, help to calm us down, or they can make us even more upset. And you see the word in front of self talk, it says negative self talk. That negative self talk usually keeps us angry for a long period of time. And it usually causes us to behave in sometimes the ways that may not be the best. So we don't want to have negative self-talk. All right, guys? So I'm going to give you some examples of negative self-talk. Now let's go to Kevin. Anybody has a friend named Kevin? Anybody? Now I'm going to give you this story. Now Kevin is really angry because his mother would not let him play on the outside until he finishes his homework. Does this happen to anybody? Where mommy or daddy or granny may say, you
Yeah.
know what, before you go outside,
Me.
you have to do what? Finish your
Do your homework.
right, do your homework. And sometimes we don't really like that, right? Sometimes we don't really like that.
Yeah.
And it can get us angry. Now let's look into the thoughts of Kevin. Can you see some of the things that Kevin is thinking? Kevin is
I can't
saying,
say properly.
okay, I'll tell you. This homework is too hard. That's what Kevin is thinking. Listen to this one. Kevin says, Mom doesn't like me. My mommy don't like me. Kevin is also thinking, you know what? Nobody wants me to have fun. This is the worst day ever. What do you think about those thoughts Kevin is having? Is that going to make him feel nice and calm, or is it going to cause him to feel even more angry?
Made to feel more angry.
Right. Because he's thinking, you know what, my mommy don't like me, and that's why she don't want me to go outside. My mommy don't want me to have any fun at all. Or this is the worst day ever. And he also thought, you know what? I'm going to be mad for the whole day. So when we look at these thoughts can cause Kevin to feel even more angry. And sometimes we have these thoughts as well. What are some of the things that we may think? And I want you to ponder on this. I want you to think about it. When we are angry or when situations happen to us, what are those thoughts that we may think that cause us to feel even angrier? And all of us do it sometimes, including me. But it is good for us to identify those negative thoughts so we can put them out of our mind. And I'm going to give you some examples of some negative thoughts. All right, let's go. Now, the first example says, you know what? I can't believe that this person would do that to me. I can't believe it. How about this one? No one talks to me like that and gets away with it. And usually when somebody says that, they have to kind of say it with an additional attitude, like they're really angry. Or, I wish they would do that again. What do you think these thoughts will be doing to us? Making us calm or making us even more angry? What do you think? I dare them to hit me. Somebody does something to you and you're like, you know what? Come and hit me. Does that make us feel calmer or does it make us feel even more angry and upset?
More angry.
How about this? Right. I know I am right and I don't need to listen to anything anybody is saying. What about that one? So these are some examples of thoughts that pop into our mind when we are angry or when we encounter a situation that causes us to feel angry. So do you guys think that these are thoughts that we should have? Would these thoughts help to calm us down? I don't think so. Now I have another activity for you to do. And I want you to take a look at it. Now the first one talks about Nathan. And I want you to tell me what negative thought you think can pop into Nathan's mind that may cause him to feel even angrier. Now, this is quite similar to Kevin. Nathan is upset because he's not allowed to go outside until his homework is done. What's a thought that can pop into his head that may cause him to feel even more angry? What do you think? What thought can pop into Nathan's head that may cause him to feel even more angry during this situation? I'll help you out.
If your mother beat
How about this one? He may be saying, Go ahead. I'm listening. You can go ahead and share what you think.
If his mother beat him,
Okay. Oh, okay. That his mother is probably going to beat him. Okay, yes, that's a thought that can pop into his head. Uh-huh. And it won't necessarily make him feel calm. It may make him feel even more angry. But how about this one? He might also think, you know what? My parents are so mean. That's a negative thought that may pop into his head. My parents are so mean. So let's keep going. Let's look at Kyle. And this one is interesting because some of you mentioned this earlier. Kyle is angry because he has to wait in line for his turn. I remember two people told me that they get angry when they have to wait. When you're standing there and you have to wait, what are some of the things that may pop into your mind that may cause you to get even angrier when you're waiting your turn? You may be thinking, why they don't hurry up? They're taking so long. When you guys are waiting, what are some thoughts that may come to your mind that can cause you to feel angrier? Tyreek, you told me that you don't like to, you get angry when you wait, right? I think it was Tyreek. Okay,
me,
I'll give you you said that you did not like to wait. You
that's
didn't
right.
like waiting in line, right? Now, when you're
That's
waiting
reason.
in line and you want the line to move, what are some of the thoughts that may come to your mind while you're waiting?
Like feel like pushing somebody or
Are
kill them.
you Oh, you feel like pushing somebody out of the line, right? So that's a thought there that can make you even angrier. Why they don't hurry up and move? You know what? I can push somebody out this line if they don't hurry up and move along. That's another thought. Let's look at the next example. Thanks so much for sharing, Tyreek. Now it says Tracy is angry because she came last in a race. What are some thoughts that may come to her mind that may cause her to become even more angry because she didn't win? What are some of the things that you may hear children saying because they're not happy that they lost? And this one we usually hear a lot. People may say what? That the person who won may have cheated. Have you ever heard that before? Sometimes when people don't win, they automatically think that the person that won was cheating. And those thoughts can cause me and you to become even more angry when we're already angry in that situation. Now, one thing that is very, very important, especially when we're exploring thoughts, is for us to remember that sometimes, though, our thoughts are not always facts. And that means that sometimes our thoughts may not always be the truth. So, because something pops into our mind, it may not be the truth. And what's the opposite of truth? If something is not true, it is what? Can anybody tell me?
A lie.
If it's not true,
A lie.
right, it may be a
A
lie.
lie.
Wonderful. Or we may say it is false, right? Right. So let's look at Kevin. Let's
No.
go back to Kevin. Remember, Kevin was upset because he had to do his homework. And remember, one of the thoughts that he had was that
No,
his mom didn't like him, right? Remember, he said that his mom didn't
that's
like him. His
reason.
mom did not want him to have fun. Do you think that that was a true thought, that his mom didn't like him?
No.
And that his mom did not want him to have fun? No, right. I agree with you. No. So those thoughts, although they may feel like they're true, they're actually really not true about the situations. And sometimes it's those thoughts that are lies, like you said, are those thoughts that are false that really, really, really increases our anger. Sometimes they're really, really believable, But we have to think about, is this thought that I'm having, is it really true? Is it really facts? And if we realize, you know what, just like Kevin, you know what, I just thought that my mom didn't like me. That can't be true because my mom wants me to do my homework. And some person who wants you to do your homework wants you to be successful. And that means that Kevin's mom then really, really loved him. Also, Kevin's mom wanted him to do homework first and then play. So was it that she didn't want him to have fun at all? No. It sounded like she still wanted him to have fun, but she wanted him to do his work first. So that's really, really, really important as we think about thoughts. So, yes, our thoughts, that self talk that pops into our head, and usually they're not really good. Those negative thoughts can cause us to feel angry and can even make us angrier. Those thoughts sometimes are also sometimes, not facts and they're not true. So when those thoughts pop into your mind, I want you to think about it. Is this really, really true? And if it's not true, I want you to put those thoughts out of your mind. All right? So remember, our first step in creating the plan was to look at our triggers. And we explored those situations that make us angry. We looked at what people may say and what people may do that may make us angry. And we realized that, you know what, our thoughts can also make us angry or cause us to increase the anger that we feel. So we've taken our first step as we create our plan. I want you to make sure you note down those situations. I want you to think about those thoughts. Keep them noted down on your paper so you can look back at them, because remember, when we have a plan, it helps us to be prepared and we can then choose the best response to those situations that may make us angry. So remember, how we react most of the time depends on what we think. And our thoughts can either cause us to calm down or they can even make us even more upset. Our self talk, our negative self talk, our negative thinking can keep us angry, and it usually ends up leading to coping in ways or choosing behaviors that may not necessarily be the best. And remember, sometimes negative thoughts, a lot of the times, they are not facts and they may not be true. So let's just look at our highlights as we wrap up this evening, as we would have explored our triggers. Well, before we get to our highlights, let's look at the steps to identify your triggers. Now, although this session will end on exploring triggers, these are three things that you can do to help keep you recognizing those situations which may cause you to become angry. And these are things that you do, as often as you can. Yes, you think about your situations and you note them down. And it's very good to keep an anger log. What is an anger log? An anger log helps you to note down those things that make you angry, probably how long you were angry, and what you did during the time that you were angry. So that when you look back at that log, there may be some new situations that you realize, you know what, I never realized that this made me angry before. But because you kept a log, and sometimes we keep a log for a week, some people do it for 2 weeks, so that they can keep track and keep learning more about ourselves. In emotional intelligence, I'm sure you're looking at self-awareness with Tanya. So being able to recognize those things, those situations that make you angry. And another thing that we can do to help keep us identifying our triggers is to ask somebody. There are lots of persons around you who you interact with every day, like your parents, close friends, aunties, and they also see the things that make you upset. And sometimes they may recognize some of the things that you may not recognize. So you can go to them and you can say, you know what, mommy, daddy, auntie, I'm trying to learn more about myself. Can you tell me some of the things that you realize or some of the situations that you realize that made me angry? And you listen and you talk with them and you add those to your anger log. You can also brainstorm. And when we talk about brainstorm, it's just thinking about random situations and then asking yourself, how would I feel if this happened to me? How would I feel if this one happened to me? So just exploring different situations and thinking about how you will feel, and you may be able to, like the others who, learn something new about what triggers your anger. So I want to encourage you to try these three things as we continue to create our anger management plan and identify our triggers. So let's go to that final slide I was talking about, our highlights, right? This is an example of an anger log. We're going to go to our highlights, those things that I really want you to remember about triggers. Remember, everyone has something that makes them angry. Everybody. So, from your little sister to your cousin to your granny to your teacher to your pastor, everybody has something that makes them angry. Let's keep going. Anger triggers are different for everybody. So what makes me angry may not make you angry. What makes your auntie upset may not make you upset. Let's keep going. And these highlights I want you to remember. Knowing your own triggers is a key step to controlling your anger. So when you know what makes you upset, remember those situations, what people may say or do, and those thoughts, it prepares us to control our anger. Our next highlight says, some situations may make us a little angry, while others may make us very angry. And we learned about, being frustrated, going way up to being furious, or even experiencing rage. So remembering that some situations may cause us to feel different intensities of anger, and that's okay. It happens to everybody. Our next highlight tells us that our thoughts can make us angry or angrier than we were. So our thoughts can cause us to feel angry. And if we're already angry, it can make us even more angry. And we don't want our thoughts to cause us to become angry. We want our thoughts to help calm us down. People may do or say things that may make us even more angry. Remember, we cannot control the actions of others, but we can control our response. But when we know what other people may do that may really upset us, it helps us to be prepared when those persons do those things or say those things. And it helps us to be able to say, you know what, I know this will make me upset. Let me put my anger management plan in place. So don't forget the highlights, and remember, our videos are there for you to be able to review. And once you review and you review, then you become so much better in understanding yourselves and especially understanding this emotion that we call anger, so that we can become exceptional at managing our anger. And not only that, not only managing our anger, but that we can be wonderful examples to other persons on how they can control their anger as well. Next week, we're going to take another step in creating our anger management plan, and we're going to be looking at clues, our body clues, our cues that tells us when we are becoming upset. So we know our triggers, and then we're going to go quickly on to how is my body telling me that I am becoming upset. And then when I know how my body feels, then what can I do to make sure I choose the best response during when I'm feeling angry and during those situations that make me really angry. So, guys, thank you very much for joining me this evening. I am definitely enjoying being with you on this journey of exploring anger management. And remember, our plan is that we will add bit by bit so that eventually we begin to learn those useful skills and we have a much better understanding of anger and anger management. Don't forget, if you have any questions at all, you can send them to us. You can email Supreme. You can put them in the comment section in our Facebook, our YouTube, our Instagram page. We love to hear from you. And we definitely look at those messages. So until next week, my Supreme family, have a wonderful week. And don't forget to join Shade tomorrow for conflict resolution. Have a wonderful remainder of the day and a wonderful remainder of the week. Bye.